Rebels! Let me get a clear shot of the man right there, Mr. Zack Snyder. Oh, let me turn off my iPad. What's going on, baby? Everybody's getting shirts signed, so of course I had to show off mine. This is the one signed by the man himself, the GOAT, the boss, Mr. Zack Snyder. Super grateful to have been able to attend the epic worlds of Zack Snyder. And I think that's why we're here. This is a Rebel Moon Director's Cut review. We will be doing non-spoiler, first of all, for people who haven't been able to sit down and watch this epic from Zack Snyder. And I think it's very fitting that Netflix called this event the Epic Worlds of Zack Snyder because, yeah, it's there's pretty much like a culmination effect, in my opinion, of all of Zack's projects when it comes to Rebel Moon. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. But before we get started, just want to say shout out to the Cool Table. Shout out to everybody at the Cool Table meetup that is going on this weekend. And there's some people that I know who have touched down in LA. Shout out to the good Austin, the Flash himself, I know is there with his fiance, lovely fiance. Shout out to Bat Dan, aka One Punch Dan, my rival. He's landed as well. And shout out to Floyd Lawton, the man who never misses. Y'all jokers must be crazy. They are all touched down in LA, from what I know, and I'm not sure who else is going to be showing up, but I look forward to seeing the updates via Twitter. And shout out to everybody who attended my Rebel Moon watch party. It was a glorious 7 hours or so. Had special guests, the commander of the King's Gaze himself, Brett Colbert, good friend of mine, good friend of the community at large, who happens to be in Rebel Moon. And just a really cool film fan, and happens to be an actor as well in the movie. But it was really cool to talk with him and get his thoughts, as well as Mrs. Commander Colbert, Catherine, his wife, who also worked in the entertainment industry. And so it was great just to talk with them as film fans, you know, seeing the movie that Brett just so happened to be in. So it was really an honor to see that. Oh, and I can't forget, somebody else has touched down. The Batman himself, Apex Leon. Shout out to The Anointed. I'm not too sure who that wrestler was, but you got to see somebody in LA as soon as you touched down. So I know Apex Leon is in the building or in the area as well, in Cali. So it's really awesome to see. And shout out to Superman. You know he's Super Sky. You know he's Super Sky. Local, of course, to Cali. Skywalker the Jedi. Good to see you, homie. Shout out to y'all. I definitely gave a shout out to the Cool Table for the Cool Table meetup, honoring this amazing community, specifically the Snyder fans who are hashtagging sell ZSJ to Netflix, sell Snyderverse to Netflix. There's a meetup happening in Long Beach, California, where Zack Snyder fans are gathering to just celebrate camaraderie and the success and the strides that have been made for Zack Snyder's art to be showcased in the best possible light on Netflix. And it was amazing to link up with these individuals in person in California 3 weeks ago. Time has been crazy for me. I've been so behind. But yeah, they are having an amazing event this weekend. And so we look forward to seeing updates on that. And shout out to Curly Ray, Jimmy himself. This is JC1435. Jimmy Man. It's the Jimmy Man. Oh! There you are. Got my Bluetooth speaker. Shout out to Marcus. This bad boys really work well. I need to get another one because yeah, they're pretty powerful. And we know a Curly Ray is pretty powerful, right? Shout out to a Curly Ray, one of the biggest Zack Snyder fans. Actually, I'm gonna leave Curly Ray over here. Might need him for something later. He's one of the biggest Zack Snyder fans that I know, specifically Rebel Moon, and he is launching Rebel Moon Theory YouTube channel, and you can follow him at Rebel Moon Theory on Instagram and Twitter, I believe. Really awesome dude and a great fan and amazing Jimmy cosplay. Shout out to Travman Entertainment. What's up, Travis? Travis is one of the Zack Snyder fans with the coolest freaking biker jacket dedicated to Zack Snyder art with tons of patches on it, made by him and his wife. And it was so cool linking up with Travis. He was featured in Netflix's and Rebel Moon's fan reaction reel on social media. You can see that on Twitter and on Instagram, and I'm sure on Facebook as well. And Travis was such a cool guy to link up with, see his passion and see him wear it proudly. And of course, he's supporting AFSP. There is a QR scannable thing, QR code that you can scan and support Autumn Snyder's Memorial Fund via AFSP. And we're going to talk about AFSP here in a minute as soon as I catch up with the chat. But shout out to Travis. Thanks for being here, buddy. So Leon, you Andrad El Idolino. Idol. He's the idol, right? He's the idol. I met him before I arrived in LA, actually. Okay, cool. All right, cool. I wasn't sure. That's awesome, man. I checked out that. I looked at that guy's. Like, I was like, oh, cool. He's on SmackDown. That's awesome. So you're already, linking up with all these big wigs. Look at you, Batman. You're just everywhere. You're everywhere. Shout out to you. And shout out to Bat Dan. Just made it to my hotel. Sorry, homie. As most people may know, I did have booked tickets and flights to attend the Cool Table meetup. But some stuff happened. There's some family stuff that happened, and the Epic Worlds of Zack Snyder event happened. Looking at my finances, I had just came back from San Diego Comic-Con. Everything was last minute. Talked to Sky, and I was like, hey, dude, Zack Snyder. He's like, I get it. Do what you got to do. So I did change my flights. I was able to change everything over, and ended up going to the Epic Worlds of Zack Snyder. So I'm not able to attend this weekend, but I look forward to seeing all of the love and energy, because Bat Dan is one of the best members of this community. He's a real MVP, and he is linking up with Skywalker, Leon, and Good Austin, and all the other community members. And so I'm excited to see that. And shout out to Mama Bear Art Doll, or Mama Bear Doll now. Good to see you, my fellow co-star in the One Punch Dan movie, which Bat Dan's thoughts just happens to be. We are all privileged to be in part of the One Punch Dan cinematic universe. So shout out to Mama Bear Dog. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. And Curly Ray says the speaker is the stuff. Yes, it is. Shout out to Josh, the MVP, and shout out to Mr. King's Gaze himself, Gunnery Commander, Brett Colbert. Good to see you, homie. Hope you're doing well, feeling better. If I mentioned you earlier, Mr. and Mrs. Commander of the King's Gaze attended the Rebel Moon watch party that I did on my channel. You can check that out. Engage with Netflix. If you're not aware, it's streaming right now on Netflix. Both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, the director's cuts. Go watch it right now. It's amazing. And we got to speak with Catherine Colbert, Mrs. Gunnery Commander, and get her experience as a film fan. So I'm really happy to see you in the chat. I hope you're doing well, feeling better, homie. Hope you're wearing your shades, because you're part of the Cool Table, right? I think I can speak for the Cool Table and say that, since that's what Leon said, I believe. Got Curly Ray saying, hey, Brett. Got Skywalker giving the salute. Got Leon giving the salute. Hey, and we got South Cali guy. What's good? Another epic Zack Snyder fan with all the love and passion, who was finally able to meet his favorite director, Zack Snyder, in person at Twilight of the Gods sneak peek event, which was freaking amazing. Right, South Cali? I think everyone who was at that event can speak to the fact that, man, y'all are not ready for what Zack Snyder about to drop on y'all. Norse mythology, Jay Oliva, Zack Snyder, y'all, you crazy mofos. You crazy mofos. Y'all aren't ready. The headlines, if you thought the Rebel Moon headlines were bad, just wait till you see the Twilight of the Gods headlines. They're already pre-written. All the hate's coming. Just get ready for it because it's freaking epic and it's gonna blow Disney's Thor and Loki out of the water. Just saying. If you saw the trailer, you got an idea of what to expect. Shout out to South Cali guy. Thanks for being here. Hope Cali is treating you well so far, Bat Dan's thoughts. And we got Brett Colbert dropping the bombs. And Stocks Bulletin, what is going on? The Cordovan speedster himself, another fan who is a part of the One Punch Man cinematic universe, the hero known as Socks Bulletin. Good to see you, Socks. Thanks for being here. Yo, we got Castillo's Way. Shout out to Castillo's Way, who also joined for the Rebel Moon March Party and happened to drop some exclusive Batfleck film content on my channel. That's all I'm going to say. If you know, you know. Thanks for being here, Phil. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Go to the Lethal Geeks podcast YouTube channel and subscribe. Phil, if you want to put it in the chat so everyone can go subscribe to your channel. Love what you guys are doing there. Thanks for being here, homie. And hey, we got Floyd Lawton. I mentioned you earlier. Yo, Josh, thought I was going to meet you this weekend. I know, buddy. I know. It was all scheduled. It was. Like, I can show you the receipts. I can show you. Everything was booked. I paid with points. I had everything ready to go. And then Zack Snyder was like, hey, I'll come like a few weeks before to LA and meet me and see Justice League and Twilight of the Gods and Rebel Moon epic director's cut. And I was like, I had to do it. I talked to Sky about it, and he was like, hey, I get it. I was like, I don't want to cancel, but I can't afford. And he's like, switch it over, do it. And I was like, I did it. But shout out to you, Floyd. It looks like you are touching back or getting back with your roots. I guess you were born in Cali on base, so it's really amazing that you're back in, hometown, so to speak. So, or home area, I guess. You're in Long Beach now, but I guess you were exploring the old roots. So good to see you. Good to see you. They definitely not ready. It was awesome. Can't wait to see the rest of the show. Yeah. I need to rewatch both of those episodes because I was just blown away. I think we all were blown away. We weren't ready for what we saw, right? Twilight of the Gods episodes 1 and 2. I think Zach and Debbie kind of downplayed it. I played their little intro, little snippet of their intro before, and yeah, they kind of downplayed it. Y'all are ready. South Cali guys saying Commander. And okay, Travis is clarifying, my wife embroidered his signature on the jacket. It looks sick. Awesome. Okay, did you post that on Instagram or Vero, Travis? I haven't been on Vero today, so let me know. If not, you need to post that because that's amazing. Shout out to your wife for making that epic jacket. I think you stole the show. You stole the show when you were showing that off to Zach and Debbie at Twilight of the Gods. Pretty freaking amazing. Love the show. Yeah, this is I told Brett and Catherine. So Catherine Colbert, Mrs. Commander of the King's Gaze, Nemesis is her favorite character. And so on the back, this is one of the, I have several actually. I haven't even showed them off. This is part of the Forever 21 collection for Rebel Moon. So I just love the way like Duna is Bay, right? And it's actually kind of like weathered, like there's like gunshots, like it's kind of like torn, right? Like because I'm part of the rebellion. I've been going through war. I just love it. It's so comfy too. So not sure if these are still available, but check out Forever 21. And Costello's Way, the Lethal Geeks, at the Lethal Geeks. Go subscribe to their podcast. Thanks, boss. We will see you on the podcast soon. Yes, I will be, I believe, next month sometime appearing on the Lethal Geeks podcast. So shout out to them. They're doing great work. Go give them a like and subscribe on their YouTube channel. I believe Vero and Instagram. Okay, I'm going to have to look it up. Homie. That's amazing. You got Zach's signature embroidered on that amazing jacket. That's a great video you did earlier with Leon talking. Yes, shout out to the Lethal Geeks and Leon of the New Geeks. They were talking about Mikey Sutton, somebody near and dear to this whole community who we lost almost a year ago. I think in 3 days is the anniversary of his passing, or sometime, I can't remember exactly the date. But yeah, right now the Cool Table Meetup, from what I understand, the reason it was this weekend is a way to honor our fallen friend, who was such an just amazing, writer, producer, comic book creator. He's just like all around great fan for the online community space, and known to be a notorious troublemaker, aka scooper, to spoil some things. But he was really from the future, and I'm honored to have had the chance to interview Mikey Sutton. And he dropped some bombs on my interview with him for Deadpool and Wolverine, which happened over a year ago, and told me that Sabretooth would be returning in Deadpool and Wolverine. Lo and behold, once again, hashtag Mikey was right. And Mikey is still proven to be right, right? Right, Socks? Like, shout out to Mikey Sutton. He believed in me. He told me some really kind things. I was so heartbroken. Most people know that my Facebook was disabled. I had so many messages and DMs with Mikey Sutton talking about just cool shit, shooting the shit about, DC, Marvel, Snyder stuff. Comic-Con, he loved that I went to Comic-Cons. He loved my passion and my energy, and really encouraged me to do this type of YouTube online space. And he believed in me to unite the fandom, and so to speak. And I'm really, really honored to have been able to call him a friend. So thank you to Mikey Sutton, and thank you to this community who always honors his legacy, and we will never forget him. So thank you. Thank you to the Lethal Geeks. Thank you, Socks. Thank you to Leon, everybody who always honors Mikey Sutton. Floyd says, definitely great to be back in Cali. Indeed, I understand, bro. I'm glad you had the experience with Zach. Yeah, had to with the boss, right? Had to. It's like Wally says, you're the boss. Curly Ray, I got the Forever 21 Rebel Moon jackets. I have the hoodie. So I think I have one that's kind of like the Gunner kind of look. They're all still wrapped. Actually, I never opened them. I have like the hoodie. I have several. I have like the Korra shirt, which I wore on a stream. I have to do like a show and tell or something one day. But yeah, the Forever 21 collection is amazing. So check that out. August 26th with the 1 year anniversary of Mikey's passing. Hashtag Mikeyverse. Yes. And Mama Bear Art Doll says MV4E. That was created by this hashtag Castle by the Good Austin. Mikeyverse forever. Something that we honor every time we can. So every time we think of Mikey Sutton, we put that in the chat. And we are all part of the Mikeyverse, and his legacy will continue to live on. So thanks for everybody honoring our fallen friend, but he's proud of all of us. You know that. So one thing he would also be proud of is that we are continuing on. He believed in hashtag sells the SGL to Netflix, hashtag sells Snyderverse to Netflix, and continuing the conversations as genuine fans. He got a lot of pushback from the media, mainstream media, right? Because he ruffled feathers and he spoiled things he wasn't supposed to in the Hollywood system, and said things he wasn't supposed to say, and got on certain co-heads of DC Studios' bad side because of that. And so we continue that legacy, right? And I think Mikey Sutton would agree, if you were to see Rebel Moon, that this movie is all about rebelling against the establishment. And so I'm going to go ahead and talk non-spoilery thoughts about Rebel Moon Part 1 and, Chapter, excuse me, clutch my pearls. Chapter 1, Chalice of Blood, and Chapter 2, Curse of Forgiveness, and just my general thoughts. So I will notate when the spoiler sections are about to come. So this is your non-spoiler right now. So you're spoiler free right now. For me, I think, okay, so comparing this, right, the Snyder cut, so to speak, of Rebel Moon, there's no comparison, right? And I'll be honest, I have reviews for Part 1, Child of Fire, and Part 2, The Scargiver. Love both of them. I was lucky enough to see those in theaters. I saw part one, A Child of Fire, at Alamo Drafthouse here in my hometown. And I was actually able to fly back in April. Another reason why I can't afford to go this weekend. I've been in California 3 times this year. I went in April for the Scargiver premiere, which I was able to get tickets to. I went to Comic-Con, and then I just went to the Epic Worlds of Zack Snyder. I was like, I can't go to Cali a 4th time. I want to. I work in mental health field, pretty much a social worker salary. If you know about social workers, we're not paid shit. We do it out of the kindness of our heart, not for the money. Okay. And so, yeah, could not really afford it. But if I could, I would be there. Anybody wants to sponsor next time, the Cool Table Meetup? Let me know. Let me know. But yeah, this movie is way different than the Netflix PG cuts, right? I loved them. I did. I love the sentiments of, I guess I actually do hate, and I get why this was marketed as Zack Snyder's Star Wars, right? It originally was not. It was a idea that came to him when he was in film school, when a professor was like, okay, pitch, go. He was in class, and they were like, okay, and he's like, seven Samurai, Dirty Dozen, Western, Star Wars in space type thing, right? And his professor was like, or his instructor was like, that's amazing, right? So then he had that idea, and he kind of lived with that for so long when he was a young, adolescent young man, essentially. Then later on, went to Lucasfilm, had the idea, I can retool this to fit within the Star Wars universe, although I don't want to use canon Star Wars characters. I'll use lightsabers, I'll use the worlds, but not Luke, Leia, Han, Lando. Got rejected, right, by Lucasfilm. And so now, Zach and Debbie, his wife, his producing partner, both realized this works better without being part of the Star Wars canon. And the PG cuts, I believe, worked great, worked amazing. However, once you see the director's cuts, I will say, and I'm not trying to take anything against the PG cuts. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, because I was able to watch the PG-13 cut, part 1 and part 2, with my niece, who was 12 years old, right? And even the scene with Sam in the barn with Marcus, right? And the soldiers from the Mother World, it's a little tense, right? And my mother was watching too, and she kind of got, and I was like, Mom, it'll be okay, trust me. Zack Snyder movies, predators get their comeuppance, right? So we all know that. Karma. Zack Snyder has a thing about karma. You can see that in the themes of this movie. So that was something that she was able to enjoy, right? She loved it. And she did not see the twist coming at the end. And this is not spoiling. So I hear a lot of criticisms about the PG-13 cuts, and it should just be the director's cuts. Well, look, yes, as a selfish, egocentric Zack Snyder fan, yeah, of course, we want the Snyder cut. We want the meat. Pause, right, Sky? We want the Snyder steak. We want that, right? However, we gotta like, I know not everyone has young nieces and nephews or children in their life, right? But for me, who wants to share certain art with young people, right? Like my niece, the PG-13 cuts were the way to go. And like, she still hasn't seen Batman v Superman, which she can now. But when she was growing up, I showed her Wonder Woman first, 2017. She was blown away. And that was her gateway drug in DC. And now she knows everyone in DC, right? But I couldn't show her BVS. It was geared towards me. It wasn't geared towards her, right? So I push back when people say, it should just be the R-rated cuts are nothing. Well, that's not how this got made, right? We got the whole enchilada by getting the PG-13 cuts, which were already way successful. A lot of talk about this, success or the failure of Rebel Moon. It's a freaking success. Sorry, okay? Literally, the director's cuts are just the icing on top of the Snyder steak, so to speak. They are 100% successful. Netflix has already pretty much confirmed it. And now the director's cuts are just basically for us hardcore fans. But this is what we wanted, right? Let's be honest. Selfishly, egocentrically, this is it. This movie, I'll be honest, I told Sky, Leon, Cool Table, and everyone who was at the Epic Worlds event, I honestly thought it was rather tame from what I was expecting. I'm not going to lie. Rather tame, so to speak. And because I was thinking, I think they did cut a lot, because Zach was talking about bordering on, rated, NC-17 or something. So there was some stuff still on the cutting room floor, I'm pretty sure, that Netflix would not agree to, but we'll see. Sky says, next meetup location and date coming soon. Oh, tomorrow will be glorious. All right. MV4E. Yes, sir. So Travis says, I love the PG-13 cuts. I obviously love the director's cuts more. However, I was able to watch 13 cuts with... Thank you, Travis. Exactly. Like, we got to think about, let's remove our... Yes, as Snyder fans, we're going to want the Zack Snyder cut of Rebel Moon, right? However, not everyone is diehards like us, right? Some are casuals. And I still haven't been able, my mom watched part 1 and part 2, loved them. I still haven't been able to set aside 6 hours, right, to be able to experience my mom, right? I'd have to obviously break them up. The chapter 1 is 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And then part 2 is 2.5 hours, basically. So Travis, thank you for making this point. Probably not going to want to see, church friends are probably not going to want to see the hardcore opening that happens in the director's cut, right? Because there's a different opening that happens in the director's cut of Rebel Moon than what happens in the PG-13 cuts with the narration from Anthony Hopkins, which is a little bit more gentler and a little bit more Star Wars-esque, right? So thank you for making that point, Travis. I love that. Curly Ray, the Curly Ray. I'm sorry if I call you a Curly Ray. I apologize. I think I did that maybe last stream, so I apologize. You are the Curly Ray, and you are James. The PG-13 versions is the reason the director's cuts exist. Exactly. So the part, like, people who want to say, oh, Netflix fumbled the ball, or they handled it, they botched it. I'm sorry, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're thinking about yourself and what you want, and you're not thinking about mass appeal. And even Zach knows this. Zach knows this, right? How many more people have probably seen the Watchmen theatrical cut than the ultimate 4-hour cut of Watchmen? Sorry, I have a big ass water. I was really thirsty. I was like, I'm just gonna fucking open. So you got to think about that. And even Netflix, like, I gotta say, like, Netflix, they probably weren't expecting the same amount of success for the PG-13 cuts for a 2-hour movie, right? For part 1 and part 2, compared to the 6-hour combined time from Rebel Moon director's cuts, right? Like, you got to be honest, right? You got to be honest. Like, how many people are going to have time to sit down and experience that? So, but that's why we're here. We're talking about this so people know what they're getting themselves into. We, as diehard Snyder fans, we want that whole steak, right? That seasoned steaks, so nice from Zach and Darian Bloodaxe. We got Future Sean in here saying, what do you think of Rebel Moon Theory? Oh, I think Rebel Moon Theory is the theory we need, and the YouTube channel content that is going to bring great warmth to the universe. Right, JC? Right? The Curly Ray? Leon says MB4E. Yes, sir. I only watch director's cuts of movies from directors that I like. Yeah, yeah. That's 100%. And as Leon, I think you've talked about this, like growing up, right? It's fascinating. We have so many like iconic director's cuts that came out. Of course, the Blade Runner, the final cut, right? There's the Donner cut of Superman 2. You know, I've heard about other, you know, the Godfathers. Curly Ray, the Curly Ray says Rebel Moon Theory is going to be great. Oh yes, agreed. So growing up, like director's cuts, you were fascinated. You were like, "Ooh, what did they cut out of the movie?" And even still, I love deleted scenes. Right? Just saw the freaking Deadpool and Wolverine, little stupid scene of Peter Pool when they fall on top of the Kia with the nipples and the string, the chain, and the woo. Stupid, but I'm just fascinated. I want to see that. I want to see what was shot. Like Zach talks about firing all your bullets, and I want to see all the bullets. I want to see what's up. So, for me, the director's cuts, yes, of course, they are way superior. The opening just sets the tone way more. It's just more visceral. It's more shocking. It is more menacing. And I talked about this, like how Noble in part 1 at Child of Fire, he's very charismatic, right? He's kind of gives to me that sense of Francis from Deadpool. Very charming, very, Atticus Noble, where you kind of like him. Like when I watched Child of Fire, I liked Atticus Noble, right? And in part 2, the Scargiver, I was kind of like, see, he just thinks he's a good guy, right? He's just cool. He's just a cool guy. Yeah, he's just misunderstood. When you see the director's cuts, I said, no, this mother gotta go. He's gotta go because of what you see and the difference in the opening, right? When you're introduced to him on Velt in part 1, it's different from what you see in chapter 1. So one thing that shocked me, yes, there is nudity, right? But in my opinion, something that Zach did was use that to convey tone, story, and character arcs and accentuate that. And in my opinion, it was like, it was very tame from what I was expecting. I'm going to be 100% honest. I was expecting more, just like gratuitous nudity. And I cannot understand, but I'm a person I come from a psychology background, right? And I took sexuality in psychology courses, right? And it's all about understanding human development and understanding yourself, helping you understand others. Not everyone has had that kind of education or enlightenment or, perspective. But when people say the first sex scene of Korra in the director's cut, spoilers, this is non-spoiler, but there is sex, right, in the director's cut. So know what you're getting into. I do not think the first scene, which happens early on in the movie, is gratuitous. I don't. I thought it was used effectively to convey where Korra was at from a psychological standpoint, based upon the circumstances that were thrust upon her in her environment. Once you start slowly learning her backstory, you understand why she is the way she is and why that sex scene plays out the way it does. Fast forward in chapter 2, there is another sex scene, and it is dramatically different in how Korra carries herself, opens up herself, and both scenes, in my opinion, were beautiful. I wanted to ask Zack Snyder and Sofia Boutella some question at the Q&A. I was not able to, but for me, Korra was enhanced as a character, and Zack has talked about this. Like, Korra is a Joseph Campbellian archetype. All of these characters are, okay? I'm going to push back when people try to criticize Zack Snyder and the writers of this movie that they need a different screenwriter. They need a different team. No, I'm sorry. Because if you look back at freaking Star Wars, now a movie that came out in 1977? Yeah. Now you know every freaking thing about those characters based upon the expanded universe, these spin-off TV shows, these sequels. You know more about those characters now, but at the time you didn't know shit about Luke Skywalker, Leia, Han, Lando, Vader, Emperor. You know nothing. Just like these rebels, just like the Mother World, just like the Imperium. So do not judge those archetypes, because now, 2024, you know way more about them. So yeah, of course, you're going to judge them. This is a brand new IP and franchise. So remember that these are archetypes. Okay? Now, what I want to do because of that is talk about how I feel that this is the culmination of Zack Snyder's work. Because look at this filmography right here. Let's see if I can share it. All right. This man, Zack Snyder. I don't know if y'all can see that. First ever IMDb credit. This is from IMDb. Let me remove this banner. Let me see these comments, actually. Leon says, yeah, grow up. I always enjoyed seeing how the meal was cooked. Same here. Same here. Sin Havoc, what's going on, homie? Just Josh Rant, let's go. I know I'm fired up. I was listening to the reason I did this in Havoc is because I'm just like, I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm tired of these access YouTubers just using Zack, their connections with Zack, and then secretly scurrying off and doing a fucking YouTube stream with their friends and fucking trashing his incredible art. Okay? This is incredible, in my opinion. South Galley guy says, uh-oh. If I freeze up, I'll be back. Exactly. Oh, where'd it go? Exactly, Josh. This is very tame, especially if we consider what we saw in Twilight of the Gods. What Zack gave us in Rebel Moon is perfect for Korra's story. It's part of her character development. Josh out here cooking. I'm fired up. Like, I am. Like, this was not planned. I messaged some people and I was like, I'm gonna do a stream because I was just like, I'm freaking tired of this. Freaking tired of this. Yeah, and that's what I am. I'm just a passionate fan, and I think most Zack Snyder fans are very passionate. And I just hate that some of these top reviews you start and like I click through some of them and it's like, oh, this is so not Star Wars. Zack Snyder, he's a horrible screenwriter. I'm sorry. I saw something completely different. Yes, I love BVS. Yes, I love Chris Terrio. But when I saw Army of the Dead, I started seeing Zack Snyder. And I started getting into the mind and the psychology of the man. I started to respect him more and his outlook on life and how he saw the world and the passion that he has and the themes and the ideas, right? So do your fucking research. Let's look at the man's freaking filmography and see how far he's come, starting off right here. Music video. Liz Borden, Love is a Crime. Director. That was in 1989. Batman probably came out around then to date everybody. Director of Playground. Director of Peter Murphy, You're So Close, music video. Morrissey, Tomorrow, music video. Soul Asylum, Somebody to Shove, music video. Sean Colville, Round of Blues, music video director. ZZ Top, World of Swore, music video director. Rod Stewart, Leave Virginia Alone, music video director. Donnie Ferris, I Know, music video director. Morrissey, Oye Esteban, music video director. First theatrical movie right here, Dawn of the Dead, 2004. 20 years ago, this man started his major theatrical film career, and he's still going strong. He is still going strong. So Zombies, right? Then after that, The Lost Tape, Andy's Terrifying Last Days, revealed, 2004. Then the iconic 300 from Frank Miller, 2006. My Chemical Romance, Desolation Row, music video, 2009. Followed by the movie that made me a Zack Snyder fan. Actually, not even the freaking movie, the trailer, which I believe was cut by the amazing Duty Dorn. Freaking trailer got me to be a Zack Snyder fan. Yes, I liked Dawn of the Dead. Yes, I love 300, but Watchmen made me really like, whoa, this dude is doing something different with Watchmen. Followed that up by Legend of the Guardians, Owls of Ga'Hoole, 2010. Sucker Punch, 2011. Man of Frickin' Steel, 2013. Superman, the 75th anniversary short, 2013. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, 2016. Snow Steam Iron, 2017. Fuck this movie. We're not even going to mention that in 2017. Hanaku, A Magical Time of Year, 2019. Zack Snyder's Justice fucking League, the only Justice League we need to credit on this. 2021, epic. Army of the Dead, 2021. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, 2021. Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, 2023. And Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, 2024. And obviously, Rebel Moon, the director's cuts. Now, upcoming, interesting, Army of the Dead, Las Vegas, director. Planet of the Dead, director. And The Fountainhead in pre-production. All in pre-production. So let's just look. We saw some music videos, right? Homie Zack Snyder talked about working with GOAT, Michael Jordan. But let's look. We got okay, so Dawn of the Dead. We got zombies. We got chaos. We got, government conspiracies. We got 300. We got Spartans. We got warriors. We got testosterone out the motherfucker. Watchmen, we got vigilantes. We have the idea of questioning authority. Who watches the Watchmen? Quis custodius, quis custodius. Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of like the Griffin, the Banu, the Griffin, right? Rebel Moon. Sucker Punch. Female fucking empowerment. Taking back your strength. Man of Steel. Joseph Campbell. Enough said. Well, immigration. Also, the ultimate immigration story. Superman. Man of Steel. The movie that Zack Snyder has talked about is his proudest theatrical cut and the reason why there's no director's cut. BVS. Socio-political fucking mindfuck. Snow Steam Iron. More fucking empowerment, taking back your strength, overcoming oppression, getting even, karma. Zack Snyder's Justice League, uniting for common Good against those who would oppress us and enslave us and strip our free will. Army of the Dead. Kind of a little bit of a, like, in my opinion, Army of the Dead is kind of like a stepping stone to Rebel Moon. Just how I feel. And so I'm going to stop sharing that now. The reason I wanted to talk about all that is because Rebel Moon to me is a culmination of this man's art. Everything I just talked about, it's kind of, in a way, within Rebel Moon. Zombies. Noble. Vigilantes. Rebelling against the establishment. Socio-political talks. Why does everyone in the mother world, why is Noble's final goal, oh, I need to be a senator. I need to be a senator. I need to be in politics. Why is that their end goal? Because once you have that power, you can do what the fuck you want and have nobody reel you in. Question authority. Who watches the Watchmen? Do y'all see what I'm getting at? To me, Rebel Moon is an epic masterpiece. And it is Zack putting all these amazing ideas in a fucking blender, serving it up to us, and we fucking drinking that motherfucker up. And sorry, this is the director's cut, so this review is already getting a little R-rated, and I'm getting fired up. So sorry, let me see these comments. Didn't Star Wars get criticized in 1977? Yeah. Yep. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Brett saying Josh bringing the heat. I know, Brett, because you saw you're now part of Zack Snyder's, filmography, right? So you know how these reactions and these reviews were already pre-written and dropped like a minute after the embargo, and then were all negative, which had no way of watching the director's cuts, right, within that time frame. So it pisses me off. As somebody who enjoys, powerful art that's not the same. They talked about that in the Q&A. Zack Snyder saving us from the sameness that is out in Hollywood. And why do these antis come out so hard? Because Zack breaks the fucking wheel. And they hate it. They freaking hate it. They fucking hate it. He exists. And this is Sparta. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, JC. Jimmy gave me some vibes of the Justice League. He gave me vibes of 300. Shout out to Brett. Throughout the movie, when we were watching it, he was like, this reminds me of 300. This reminds me of 300. This reminds me of 300. And I was like, yeah. Because that's what I saw. As a Zack Snyder fan, all I saw. The man obviously did intentional visual callbacks to other works, right? You can just look on Twitter and see the side-by-sides. One of the most powerful ones that gets me every time is at the end of chapter 1, seeing the rebels unite, right? When Gunnar pulls Korra up, very similar to how Superman pulls up Batman from the abyss, right? And you get that shot, that pan shot of them united together against the coming battle. Sucker punch. Trav says, sucker punch. Yes, sir. Release the Snyder punch. We're still waiting on that director's cut, which is coming. Man of Steel was the first film from Zack Snyder and the first comic book film I saw in the theater. Freaking epic, Curly Ray, right? Man of Steel, I got to see that in IMAX here in my hometown. And in actual IMAX, do your research. Most franchise movie theaters have LIMAX. They're not actually IMAX. TCL Chinese Theater, when I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, the third largest IMAX in North America. The AMC City Walk in LA, where we got to see Zack Snyder's Justice League, that's the second largest IMAX. Number 1 is Lincoln Square in New York City, from what I remember. I got to watch The Flash on my birthday last year there. Been to all those motherfuckers. And Zack Snyder's art is a freaking amazing on the big screen, but Hollywood doesn't want us to see that. So they're going to trash it. Well, it still exists. Like Trav says. Yeah, suck it, Warner Brothers. Still here. And we're still rebelling for powerful art. Hey, what's up? Says Sergeant says, good evening, Josh. Sorry I'm late. Had other things to do. No worries. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. I'm just going up. These are supposed to be non-spoiler, but I'm just gonna have to transition because I'm so fired up that I'm gonna have to start getting into the nitty-gritty. The owl and Zack Snyder's the owl is Zack Snyder's favorite bird. I did not know that. I did not know that, but makes sense. Makes sense. I knew these wasn't there for Zack all along. I knew these wasn't there for Zack all along. There, yeah, those YouTubers, yeah. Hey, what's up, homie? What's good, Chris Brown? He said, what's good, everybody? Just getting home. Glad to see you streaming tonight, Josh. Yeah, man, I'm fired up. I'm just talking non-spoilery about Rebel Moon, but I think I'm gonna have to transition. So let me just wrap it up for people who haven't seen it, and then we'll start with the spoiler part. But yeah, Rebel Moon is what I'm trying to get at. It's a drastically, if you've seen the PG-13 cuts, it's a drastically different movie. Just ask the homie Brett Colbert. Way more scenes. All right, Brett. Way more screen time for all the characters. Jimmy, James, the Curly Ray, has a whole arc, such more of a fleshed out character compared to A Child of Fire Part 1, the PG-13 cuts. Jimmy's my favorite character, and that's because of the director's cuts. Like, it's Korra and Jimmy, but Jimmy he has a whole arc, right? Korra had an arc in all 4 movies, in my opinion, but Jimmy is just like amazing. And do not think that if you hear that there's sex and you hear that there's violence, that, oh, it's not something for me. Give it a chance, because I got to say, the gore, the head splatters, right, Brett? The head splatters, I thought were freaking artistically and beautifully done. No spoilers. It's the non-spoiler section, but actually now we're going to transition. We're going to transition because I want to talk about the spoiler. So anyways, go watch Rebel Moon. Oh, excuse me. Got to replay. Because this movie deserves all the praise. It should not exist, and yet it does. Right here. Watch both director's cuts, because Zack considers these to be one long movie. And it is. If you watch them back to back, it went by for me. It really did. It did not feel like 6 hours. But let's talk about it. 5, 4. This is a spoiler warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holy shit, that opening. The ominous tone, like I told Brett Colbert, the way that this opens, it sets the tone for all the characters, like Brett Colbert, in the mother world. And you see what they're capable of. The stripping of the women, the branding, taking them as their wives of the mother world, right? If you've seen Mad Max, I got the sense of that. Furiosa, right? How Immortan Joe, takes his wives, right? Slavery, essentially. Enslavement. Killing the men. Colonizing, essentially. The old world. It's what Sin Havoc always talks about. What has happened, the atrocities, all throughout human history. We've always been the same beings, right? We've always been capable of these horrific things. We've also been capable of amazing things. But Zack is going to show you. Zack is going to show you and it's not going to be pretty. And spoiler, Brett Colbert gets what's coming to him, because when you see what Noble is capable of, right? I did not find him as charming, and I did not root for him like I did in the PG-13 cuts. I wanted that motherfucker dead because of what he makes Eris do to his own flesh and blood, his father, right? He convinces them, kill your father, and I'll spare the rest of your family. Eris bashes his own father's skull in. Noble enslaves him, adopts him in the army of the Motherworld, still kills his family. After I saw that, I was like, nah, Brett, you gotta die. Brett gets his head blown off by Cora. Skipping around, but while you're here, yes. Brett Colbert's death scene, I watched that. I kid you not, and I'm not kidding you, Brett. Like, during the watch party, I told you and Catherine, I just rewatched all of the kills that Cora delivers when she takes down the King's Gaze, and it's fucking beautiful. Y'all, all of y'all had some of the best deaths, head splatters, in my opinion. At the beginning of the stream, I asked Zach, I don't know if y'all could hear, but I asked Zach what his favorite head splatter explosion was. He said his favorite is actually Sam's to the Kryptonian when she's in the barn. She blows off the Kryptonian and you can see the eyeball come out. That's what Zach said. He said that's his favorite head splatter, and it is beautiful. I'll be honest, I'm biased, but all of Brett and his co-workers within the King's Gaze, all your deaths are amazing, and I think y'all had some of the greatest death scenes in the movie. So shout out to you, homie, for playing such a vile villain. I did tell you that you were disgusting to me, which is a good thing. That means you're a great actor because you're relishing. You're relishing. When you get the orders, you have that body movement that you learned. You're so proud of yourself, right? And when you say fire, 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 you have this like smirk, right? And then I even told you when you're in chapter 2, the way your lips are parted and you're almost like you're savoring like what's about to come. You're almost like turned on by it is what I got. And I was like, ugh, I wanted you dead. And I got my wish. But that's just because of how that beginning scene sets up you guys as how vile, what you're capable of, right? And what you've been doing to this universe. So yes, we have entered the spoiler zone. If you don't know, if you do not know, spoilers. This is the spoiler section of chapter 1, Chalice of Blood. The opening was amazing, right? Like, I thought it set the tone. It did exactly what it needed to do to differentiate itself from the PG-13 cuts. Let's see, the chat kind of jumped on me. If I get booted, yes. If I get booted, I'll come back. It happens to me where it boots me out and then I have to come back. So brutal, so amazing. I'm going to watch it after your stream. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yim Yoon is brilliant. Yes, he's Eris's father. And I believe he's behind the Instagram account, Z Snyder Official, I think it is. From what I saw on Twitter, I'm not sure if that's a fact, but I did see him talking about an interview how Ed Skrein is just such a great, kind person, actor. He plays Noble so well, but when they're filming that scene, the way it was filmed, he talked about how it was weird because the camera had to come around Lim, and he had to kind of watch out for it. And a couple of times he wasn't ready, but Ed Skrein kind of grabbed his hand and helped him guide around the camera so Zach could get the shot, because Zach likes to really get in there. Zach is the camera operator, and Brett talked about that in our interview. And, you don't want to get in the director's way, obviously. And so Ed helped out his co-star. He didn't have to do that, right? But he did. And Ed was such a kind person for doing that. And Lim talked about how there's so much collaboration that we as the audience don't see, that these actors have to do in order for the director to capture the frame. And so, amazing scene. It played out so beautifully in the most gross, vile way, but that gets you that drive within your stomach, right? To want to see justice delivered. And we do, because Brett gets what's coming to him. And it was amazing. It was amazing. That's true evil. Yep. Yes, Sin Havoc. That's old world. Yes, sir. Sofia Boutella is a great lead actress, and we all have Zack Snyder to thank for making it happen. His work is epic. I know. Yeah, because of course, like Sofia, like I knew her from Kingsman, Atomic Blonde, Charlize Theron, that scene. Shout out to Zack Snyder. Did you notice that Noble was reading Eris's father's memories? So yeah, when he's kind of playing within the brain, right? And he's kind of interpreting what he's seeing. It's ridiculous, right? It's Noble relishing in the most vile way. And Zack, I was watching an interview the other day. Zack talked about how Noble essentially, he's somebody who's lost himself. He's lost his humanity. Obviously, he's become a cyborg, but he's basically been deployed for way too long on this mission to find the Blood Axis. Therefore, felt like he could get away with doing all these vile things, much like Belisarius did, right? He's kind of on that path. And I think that shows within this scene how he's kind of like relishing in his work. The whole scene was amazing. Yes, sir, it was. Brett's controlling sword of the king, aka cannons for the king's gaze. Shout out to a Curly Ray who knows so much trivia. Yes, sword of the king is the name of the cannons from the king's gaze. Trav Man says, my wife was on the edge of her seat the whole time. I know. And I want to see my mom's reaction to that scene, you know, because she's not expecting that. I can't wait to like sit her down and have that experience. I have never seen anything like what I saw in the Director's Cuts Part 1 for the intro. Hard R-rated. Yep. And Star Trek Beyond, Sofia Boutella. Yes, I did see her in that as well. But Zack has thrust her and elevated her to leading lady, right? Like 100%. Noble is an augmented humanoid. All right. So Sin Havoc knows that, like, one thing that I loved, I'm skipping around obviously, but when you do see Noble's head sliced in half, I love those little details of seeing, you know, you can tell he's not 100% a cyborg, but there is cogs and there's machinery. Of course, in the tentacle scenes, we see him have a full body high in that hookah scene, which I thought was so interesting. Shout out to Zack Snyder. I don't know if he's a hookah fan. I did a lot of hookah in college. And so that scene just kind of made me giggle and laugh. Because, you know, the Imperium, they're into some crazy stuff. Obviously, seeing the tentacle scene, which honestly I thought was tame. I was expecting more. I was expecting way more. And I'm sure that's probably what got cut. Because there's a lot of holes in Noble. If you know, you know. But and the scribes mentioned the Neuralink. Yep, 100%. And that one thing I did love is that the scribes were, I did have that theory that the scribes would be a much bigger role in the director's cuts, and lo and behold, they were. They had like a whole arc, right? With the whole teeth collecting, the portrait of Issa, and let's see, and showed the Iggy, I think that's how you pronounce it. So Sin Havoc, like, yeah, like all of the, like the whole Issa mythology, right, is so much more expanded upon. All characters were way more fleshed out. You have backstory for Nemesis, way more. You actually see her meet the rebels. Her scene with Armada. Freaking, like, the whole conflict there about the eggs not being able to hatch, right, is really elevated two mothers locked in battle. Nemesis not wanting to, but needing to in order to protect a human child, right? But at the expense of sacrificing the mother to these little spider babies. I loved seeing her with the molten swords, slice open that sack and then seeing the babies because they were a little cute. They were so cute. And everyone at the screening was like so taken back when the little spider like looks back with the like sad eyes about his mom dying. Its mom dying. And it's just like, damn, it was very powerful. You really feel the hopelessness in this universe thanks to the beginning scene. All of this is portrayed, in my opinion, thanks to what Zach opened with, that 20-minute opening. I loved, Anthony Hopkins' narration, but this is the movie. This is the movie Zach intended. Has anyone listened to the podcast yet? It's so good. I have not. I do plan to. I think there's 4 episodes now. So I honestly am just now, because Comic-Con, Epic Worlds of Zack Snyder. I went to Comic-Con, flew back to Texas, worked 3 days, got back on a plane, flew to LA again, saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, Justice is Gray at the Egyptian, saw Twilight of the Gods, saw the Rebel Moon Director's Cut, hung out in LA on pretty much all day Sunday, flew home. Then I went to Louisiana with family, took my grandpa gambling. I've been so behind on work. I'm just now. I actually was working today. I wasn't supposed to. No. Today's Friday. Yeah, I was supposed to work today. I'm actually supposed to work tomorrow. But I'm just now getting caught up on work. So I have not listened to the Shinashaw. But I will on Spotify. Because the Jimmies, man, need to know about them. Apparently, these are sex robots. Zack Snyder, you crazy beloved motherfucker. I still have to listen to episode 4. Okay, so the Igis, how do I pronounce that? Igis are different types of humanoids, different generations of beings from the pre-flood. Ooh, okay. So are these aren't the giants, right? These aren't the giants. Y'all need to listen to the podcast. It's good stuff. Shout out to the homie commander of the King's Gaze, Brett Colbert. Got to tend to Lady Commander. Have a beautiful evening, y'all. Thank y'all again for having Catherine and I on the other day. Very sweet. Shout out to you. Shout out to Mrs. Commander of the King's Gaze. I hope y'all are feeling better. Hope you're having an amazing Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us, Brett. I really am honored to call you friend, and I'm looking forward to having y'all both back on the channel next time. Let's see. Is one of those who didn't see Rebel Moon? Is those the ones who we didn't see in Rebel Moon? They also showed the Unanki symbols in the murals and on the Kali. So the Kali, too, the beginning, right? That was the most fascinating thing. And I love that Netflix marketed that, right? The Kali, when you see, bound and gagged, essentially a giant, and then you combine that with the Issa painting, right? The Redeemer of Issa destroying those giants. I have a theory that Issa essentially, at one time, the first Issa liberated the Kalis, the female Kalis. I don't know if the Kalis are like just for the females, right? But then over time, the mother world enslaved the Kalis, right? And is using them for their means and violating them, right? In order to transport them across the universe. And Sinhavik says, yes, pre-flood. So there's so much more, like, I guess, in my opinion, I guess there is kind of more of a force, not really Star Wars, but there's a lot more mythological themes within the director's cut, right? And the mythology is more fleshed out. So you want to learn more about Issa. You want to know more about this backstory. And I know they're working on a Kali animated series, and that's something that is just kind of the surface is scratched, right? And it's amazing. Like Zach, there's so much. The website, the Tudum website, the amount of planets, right? I was just looking earlier on a Wikipedia, the Rebel Moon Wikipedia, and just kind of trying to remember the planets and everything, because the website is literally like mind blowing. And I still want to dive into that. And I think I should do like a stream just going over that. I've been talking about it a few times. But the universe is so vast and has so much to offer, right? We're just following these rebels. But there are so many stories probably happening on other planets, and so much more to tell within this universe. I think they are the ones that are in black and red androids in the first image Zach showed. Interesting. So yeah, so the scribes in the mythology of Issa, they're all kind of, they go together. I loved how we got so much more of Belisarius and the backstory of Korra, and seeing her connection with the Kali and how she visits them and has a kindredness, right, to them. So much so that later on, we'll get to it in part 2, but she has something happens. But what else? Before I forget, the brothel scene with Joss Whedon. Once again, way more tame. I was expecting more craziness. So the people who think this is just like gratuitous and it's trash and Zack Snyder doesn't know what he's doing, I'm sorry, you're fucking wrong. It was way tamer than it should have been, in my personal opinion. I wanted to see crazier. Well, I wasn't disappointed. I was just expecting way more. I feel like this was a rather tame movie from Zack Snyder, not gonna lie. So I don't think that's why I don't have, like, my niece probably could watch it. She's been watching crazier stuff. Caught her watching Midsommar. So I was like, you shouldn't be watching that. You're not old enough. So yeah. Anyways, Zack Snyder made a tame movie in Rebel Moon Part 1, or Chapter 1, excuse me, Chalice of Blood. The blood splatters and the backstory, I love that you get to see like Titus a little bit more in his scene where they're recruiting him. I'm sorry, I forgot. Talking about the brothel, going back to Kai, and then recruiting of Terok. The Banu scene, one of my favorite parts in Part 1. Chapter 1. Chapter 1, and then the scene where Darkseid himself gets ripped in half. We're like, oh, it's so unnecessary. No, it's fucking metal, and it's fucking cool, and it's fucking karma. He was a slave trader. He was enslaving these beautiful mythical beings. He got what was coming to him. You don't like justice? Come on now. Justice League. So Curly Ray says, wait, I meant the talk about the planets, cosmetology chop. Yeah. Curly Ray you have all the books, right? Curly Ray, did you get the actual set of books? I need to like check that out. I saw that I don't know if they're sold out. I know they're very limited, but did get the book, the photo book. So that's one of my souvenirs. And so what else did I want to mention? I'm barely going to scratch the surface because there's so much to talk about in the director's cuts, but some of the differences, obviously, when Terok, meets Kai, and how there's just little scenes of them bantering, and Terok not liking Kai. So when later he talks about, I never liked that guy, when the twist comes and you see Charlie get impaled in the head by Gunnar, you know that he's dead, but I feel like he's able to come back. Darian Bloodaxe, as much as I wanted to see him survive, those shots that go through him, the molten shots, are just so beautiful. So beautiful. Even the scene, the Gears of War scene, DJ and his team who worked on Part 1, I was lucky enough, if you saw on Twitter, to talk to DJ after the screening. Super cool guy. He told me about how he was able to transition from working on The Flash, which I loved, which DJ worked on. He was able to transition from The Flash to Rebel Moon thanks to Debbie and Zach helping bridge the Warner Brothers Netflix. We see a lot of stuff going from Warner Brothers to Netflix, so just saying. So it was really cool to talk with him and just see how the film was way more polished. Of course, with the Zack Snyder filter on it, it's a different movie. It's a different tone. It's a different aesthetic. And we see that, right, when Darian gets shot and all those shots where he's definitively dead, right? So we see him. I think that makes his sacrifice so much more powerful. And oh, I forgot the freaking barn scene. I'm very scattered. Sorry, guys. But the barn scene where Jimmy comes in. It's a Jimmy man. And he comes and he saves Sam. That scene was already powerful and got tons of applause. But when it happened in the director's cut, just way more powerful. When you see Cora shoot fucking Marcus in the head, like, fucking get what you deserve. They're all beautiful. I thought they were all beautifully done. Curly Ray says, I have the Heroes and Monsters book coming in. I haven't ordered the photo book yet. All right. You going to the Cool Table meetup? I'm not, but there's people that are already there. I think it's actually happening tomorrow. Yes, Green Arrow, Oliver Queen. I mean, one day we're going to see Charlie with one arm and a bow and arrow and a hood. Mark my words, Costello. Mark my words. One day. The first image Zach showed off of the androids, black and red. Okay. And we got Junior Gamesfire showing up. Thanks for joining us, Junior Gamesfire. Cora shooting the one guy while showing the guy's skeleton. Yep. Amazing. And then, the climax, obviously. When we see Cora one-on-one with Noble, destroy him and all the the arm stuff, because it looked so, the action you could tell. And of course I had some criticisms in the barn scene and of course in the climax. That just makes sense when you see the bones popping out, why Cora is doing what she's doing to him, right? And then you see her gut Noble with his own staff. It's just so, oh yes, it's freaking hype. I was hype. And it just makes for a more powerful, it makes for a more powerful scene. Like the blood, the violence, the everything in the director's cut accentuates the world and the character arcs so much more. When you see Noble laughing, this is perfect. When you see Cora hit him with his own staff and those teeth go flying, you're reminded at every single scene that Noble caused that with Sindri, right? With Eris's dad, with King Levitica, right? Payback is a bitch, and Cora gives it to Atticus Noble. And so, of course, you get to see the astral plane scene when you see Noble being resurrected. Sin Havoc, I did have a question for you. Like my last watch party, you talked about the age of Pisces because we see big fish underneath the ice where Belisarius and Noble are meeting, right? So the age of Pisces comes into play. You might want to look up Zach and Debbie's zodiac sign. I know some people would laugh at that, scoff at that, but that might mean something. So anyways, Sin Havoc says red and black androids. Okay. But I thought chapter 1 far superior, of course. We went from 2 hours to 3 hours and 30 minutes. And I kid you not, yes, we were all in a theater. We were all having the time of our lives, but it flew by. So then we got to have an intermission, got to meet Zach, get free food, get some free drinks, get hyped, talk about the film, and then we went straight into the epic Chapter 2, Curse of Forgiveness. And the thing that I love is the title. Like we talked about, Chapter 1 was Chalice of Blood. We got that, right? We got so much blood. And then there's so much more in Chapter 2. But the theme of the Curse of Forgiveness, right? We find out what happens throughout this movie with Korra and Issa and why she's running from who she is. Talked about earlier how the sex scene in Chapter 1, in my opinion, was a person who was just looking for sex, fuck to forget. Zach has talked about that with his Batfleck and BVS. And Korra's kind of doing the same thing. She's trying to fuck to forget, but also to fit in, because that's what's happening in this village, right? Hagen is telling her, you got to marry Din. He's a warrior. Blah, blah, blah. So there's kind of like a, gender, there's pressure, essentially, social pressure to fit in, because a man has to be with a woman, right? And Korra's like, oh, fuck, I guess I gotta fuck this guy. And she also wants it, but not because of the reason that Din probably wants it. She's trying not to avoid no kissing. She's pretty woman, being a pretty woman, basically, right? She's just there for sex. And she doesn't want to get attached. She has no real compassion for this person or this village. She does what she needs to do. But you kind of see her slowly, the humanity come out by being part of this village, right? DC Talk said, I'm sending you an image. All right, DC Talk, send me an image. I'm sorry if I'm getting messages. I am overwhelmed with messages. Let's see. Are you sending it on Twitter? Let me know if it's on Twitter or what. Since I'm on this topic, so now when you see in part 2 her be a part of this rebellion, you see her have compassion and an attachment, mostly to Gunnar, but her humanity slowly starts to awaken by being a part of this rebellion, and she becomes deprogrammed. And in my opinion, the scene with her and Gunnar, the sex scene, it's beautiful. It's not really sex, it's love. They make love. You can see that in the passion and the way she's so she's kissing her. She's more comfortable with herself, the way she holds herself. I thought Zach portrayed everything, and Sofia Boutella and Mikhail Huisman did an amazing job with that scene. It was beautiful. I've not seen a sex scene so passionate and beautifully shot in a long time. And Sofia Boutella is gorgeous, of course. Yes, you can be a child. Titties and la la la. But it was two people with amazing bodies. Shout out to both of them. But they were becoming one. And we saw that. And so now I've seen on Twitter how there's theories how did they really become one? Did the Scargiver get a little gift from Gunnar? Who knows? Who knows? Oh, okay. Let me pull it up. DC Talk. I was waiting for a DM, but you replied. Okay. I was like, I have tons of messages. I'm part of all these group chats that I've been added to. And it's very interesting. Don't want to be in them. They add me anyways. All right, let's see. Let me see. DC Talk. Let me see my notifications. Why is Craven the Hunter on my screen? Okay. So you're saying you wanted to see these versions. Okay. Let me present my screen. the concept art. I think this is one of the very first things we saw from Rebel Moon, right? What tab is this? This is Twitter tab, share. So this one. So these are the first. Yeah. So these are the Iggy. Is that what they called Sin Havoc? So maybe Belisarius. Belisarius might have these in his back pocket, huh? So are these humanoid? These are humanoids, but they actually probably are enhanced, kind of like Noble, huh? So the rebels, they're not ready. They're not ready, man. We didn't even see what all the Mother World's capable of, right? That's cold, man. Damn. Thanks for sending me that ZC talk. Crazy, crazy. All right. Get back on track with chapter 2. Chapter 2, Curse of Forgiveness. So Korra is way more fleshed out, in my opinion. Thanks to this, you see her arc, you see more of her backstory, you see the guilt that she has by killing Issa. Sin Havoc says a version of them may be more augmented. Ooh, that would be wild, man. These rebels can't get a break. Oh, and the one thing, the story difference that was probably the biggest thing in chapter 1, we see the heiress and the villagers pull out the dropship. Korra's, let me go grab it actually. Korra's dropship. Right? They actually take it out because these are actually, blocked with like the wheat and the hay and stuff. So this is actually the popcorn bowl, actually. Forget how you open it. I don't want to do it. Oh, there it is. But yeah, Imperial dropship. So it gets pulled out in chapter 1. But Jimmy is the one who's actually able to look out for the villagers, right? And protect them and even restore it. Shout out to Matt G Films. What's going on, Matt? He was on part of the Rebel Moon watch party. People say those sex scenes were pointless. Are film illiterate. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Like, do you not know storytelling? I hope we see them in Rebel Moon 3. Yes, I do too. I do too. I almost spilled butter on my Imperium dropship bowl. I know. During the premiere of Rebel Moon Part 1 of December. Yeah. So this is the popcorn bowl. Oh, actually. Guess what I found? I gotta use my popcorn bowl. Got some belt cheddar up in here with Korra. But yeah, I just have this displayed. But technically, it's a popcorn bowl. So I got all of the Rebel Moon merch. Got all the signed shirt. Got the popcorn. I gotta get this in a frame. Got everything. And by Korra being a part of this rebellion, you see the other rebels kind of open up as well, right? You see Titus, in my opinion, the most effective MVP in chapter 2. His backstory is my favorite. I love seeing him. Everyone's backstory is amazing, but Titus's backstory in chapter 2 became my favorite because you see the pain and the angst. Where did I get? I got the popcorn. I found it at Walmart. Check Walmart. That's where I found it. I think all these were from Walmart. I'm pretty sure. So check your local Walmart. I still need to get the Nemesis and the Jimmy action figures. I know they have those at Walmart. So I'm gonna go look this weekend. Rebel Moon food, yes sir. Rebel Moon popcorn. It actually, the cheddar, the Velt cheddar, it's very good. I'm not just saying that. I totally had when part 1 came out, I found like I got like 1 bag, and then I loved it so much I went back and got 6. I just randomly found that one. So I was like, oh, but that's my last bag. But yeah, I've been going through the Belt Cheddar. It's really good. It's actually the brand I think the AMC uses now when they distribute, I think Popcorn Indiana or something like that. Really good Belt Cheddar. If you like cheese, definitely recommend it. The battle was just way more intense, right? And in my opinion, chapter 2 just is all, it's kind of like an end game. Sorry if you get triggered me saying that, but end game was all basically craziness, but a big climax. Rebel Moon is basically all third act. There is build up and story, right, and backstory. We see Titus, obviously, beautifully done. I love those blood spatters. And then we see Milius, which is my favorite one shot of her being liberated by, or they being liberated by Darian Bloodaxe when he comes from the smoke, right, with the jets over him. Terok. Terok's backstory. Get to see him get laid. Get to see him dancing with the villagers, right? And just like becoming a little bit more in touch with himself and not just being so focused on, punishing himself and going through the crucible before for, the shame of leaving and abandoning his people and his home world. But we also get to see the villagers uniting more and training more. It's basically a story about us. I've said that in the PG-13 cuts. It shows what we can do. Farming is what we can do. No, we can fucking rebel if we all unite. Put aside our fucking differences. This is a fucking election year, y'all. All right? You're going to literally let the fact that somebody's going to vote for somebody that you don't like because they're part of a party that you don't like divide you, when really they're all fucking corrupt. Both sides. We don't have a choice. We know that. We are just the illusion of choice. Why do these mother world fuckers want to become regents and senators and stuff? Why is that their end goal? Politics. Shout out to Cary Elwes, who the king, slain king. We get to see more of him, and we get to see the sabotage that happens by Belisarius, right, in the scene, the Julius Caesar scene, right, with the musical notes. Shout out to Princess Issa, and that scene is just way more brutal, right? When you see the queen's throat getting slit, and you see Pirate Dreadnought getting stabbed in the throat, right, by his own knife, and you see the betrayal, but you also know that Cora can't do that to her own adopted father, right? Made her who she is. But just because we do bad things does not mean we're past redemption, right? We can come back from that abyss. Zack Snyder said, in a long enough timeline, I believe in the happy ending. Unfortunately for Cora, after she is forgiven from Issa right before shooting and killing her, that's the curse of forgiveness, because the world has a way of working itself out. And Cora helps save the villagers with the help of Gunnar and the rebels, like Nemesis, right? Like Terok, like Titus, like Din, like Eris, like Sam. Because they united, they put aside their differences. A diverse group. Let's look at this shirt. Let's look at how diverse these rebels are. We got a JC We got Archelaus. We got the farmer. We got Nemesis. We got Milius. We got Kai. We got Terok. We got Titus. He's in there. You just can't see him. Matter of fact, different people, different backgrounds, right? But all fighting for one purpose against evil. Keep that in mind in November, okay? Keep that in mind. Do not let the politics of this world divide us. Let's stay focused on the goal and the finish line, all right? And this movie pulled me out of a lot of depression that I had. I talked about that. This beginning of year, January to, I'd say June, around my birthday, have been horrible. And there's been a lot of like family stuff and things. But when I saw The Scargiver, just the PG-13 cut, I was so inspired by what Zach wrote and his writers wrote in this movie. And it's further inspiring by seeing chapter 2, The Curse of Forgiveness, for me, because he's talking to us. I really do feel that way. There is casualties, right? But when you unite, you can accomplish wonders. You can do anything, right? They'll race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they'll join you in the sun, in the great warmth of the universe. Hey, shout out to the good Austin. Shout out to you, homie. Thanks for being here. Hope you're enjoying California love. Hope you and your fiance are having a good time. Thanks for being here, stopping by. Politics are toxic and chaotic, messy. I know. And that's what we're going to, further as the months go on, we're going to get drowned in it. But stay focused on the prize. Stay focused on the prize, the Holy Grail, the chalice, the Redeemer. And so when the battle starts, right? The climax of Rebel Moon. Oh, hold on. Got to mention the wheat scenes, the harvesting scenes. So gorgeous, so beautifully done. Something that needs to be said about our resources in this world, right? Zach is talking about real shit here. When resources become scarce, I don't know if y'all have seen the prices of shit in our world, but Sin Havoc has talked about how the next war is going to be about resources, essentially. So Zach is trying to prepare us, right? So why does the world like to pan the commentary within his movies? Might be ahead of the curve, so to speak. And the powers that be don't want us to know what's up, what's coming. So the wheat and the harvesting, shout out to those. I don't know. I'm not a farmer. I don't know how to till the soil right. I need to start fucking learning because I'm privileged. I got electricity. I got freaking restaurants I can go to. But when times get tough, gotta start putting in work, working with your hands, being like the villagers in Belt. Zack Snyder did it. He planted wheat himself. Started making them beer, Rebel Moon beer, him and Debbie. So I need to start getting in. I'm in Texas, so there's some farms not too far from me. But anyways, the climax are fucking amazing. Just so much more polished. And I think it was actually Marcus who DJ worked on part 1 or chapter 1, and Marcus worked on chapter 2. Ooh, the scribes. Ooh, poor Sindri. The scribes are using Sindri's teeth right now. Yeah. Fuck them from Otherworld. Matt says the farmers are the ones with the soil and the nature. The Imperiums force nature to bend to their will. Yep. Yeah. And there's all kinds of, they co-opt, right? They co-opt everything, right, Matt? They co-opt the Kalis, right? Apparently, they co-opted even the technology for the molten swords. So there's a device that is powering them externally, because Nemesis, she chops off her arm, and oh my god, I just love seeing her backstory when you see, her arm just kind of have the snap effect, the Thanos Marvel Universe snap effect, and she just stands there like a badass. She doesn't react or anything. She just sees that disappear. She sees her whole arm disappear. And the gauntlets, when she puts the gauntlets, the blood of her ancestors awaken the blades. I do love Nemesis Mac. I like Titus's more in chapter 2, but I love Nemesis's as well. She's one of my favorite characters. Fucking mother. She's a mother, and she's also a protector, right? So when we going back to the harvesting scene, we see her, just like Korra, become deprogrammed, having a connection with these villagers, specifically the little blonde boy, remembering what it's like to care for a youngling. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And so yeah, the Kryptonians, they're using this technology for their own will, right? And I love those freaking molten swords. That when I see that battle with Nemesis and the Kryptonians, it's just like so good, so much more fleshed out, way better than the Scargiver. Because she kind of like, I hate how it was cut in part 2, because it's going in between scenes, and then you just like go back to her and she's like, oh, I got stabbed, and it's like, wait, what? And so it's a shorter fight. This, you can actually see her take on Richard Citrone, Batman, Stump Batman himself. Shout out to the Batflick for that amazing warehouse scene. Nemesis was awesome, but she when she chopped off the Hawkshaw's head, of course, she's shout out to Duna Bay. That's why I had to wear it. I was thinking about it. I was like, damn, I need to feature her more, because I don't know if we're gonna see her, but we might get a prequel comic book, I hear. So we'll see. Maybe more Nemesis. I'm sorry, I've gone so long, so I'm gonna have to like fast track through the rest of this. But so since I'm already talking about the swords, we talked about Brett getting his head blown off, the King's Gaze going down. It's so genius to have the King's Gaze shoot itself, which prompts Noble and Korra to have that battle. It's just so visceral, right? So amazing seeing the smoke and the effects of the Kryptonian blades. The director's cut is just where it's at, right? And when you finally get to that scene where Korra chops his head off. Oh, Gunnar getting shot, actually. It always kind of seemed weird to me. Like, he kind of went out like a punk, in my opinion. And he's a hero, obviously, but in the Scargiver, I feel like the shot that Gunnar has is a little bit more violent when he gets shot by Noble. So I noticed that there was a difference. So I was like, ooh, that it looked like it hurt. Sinavik says the Hawkshaw thought he was going to take a molten sword. Poor Hawkshaw. But everything was way more violent, more visceral. And you get the payoff when you see Noble's head in 2 pieces with the gears and the smoke. And it's just, that effect is just so fucking amazing. I did love, too, getting to see way more frothy Belisarius, getting to see his troops mobilized, because when you see backtrack, shout out to Zack Snyder's cameo when the blood axes appear. Pretty sure it's Zack Snyder. When he comes in, the little alien who sacrifices himself, I don't know if he was in the makeup. I don't know if he was just doing the ADR, but I think everyone agrees that's pretty much Zack Snyder, right? Shout out to Zack Bloodaxe. Kali, right? My wrath will be my sister's vengeance. Yes. Damn, I'm forgetting so much. I'm sorry. I'm running out of time. But yes, the Kali before she blows up the King's Gaze power source, the meeting of the minds. There's got to be something to that, right? They established a connection. Is Korra some type of, does she have some type of Issa-like power? Since she's able to bond with the Kali, I don't know. So she's able to have that little vision with the Kali, and the Kali's saying, my sisters all are going to be liberated, and their vengeance shall be my wrath. So we're going to get way more of the Kalis to come. And then when Belisarius, you see him, you know, getting his crown and just kind of walking out in that reminiscent shot of the slain king, you're just like, holy shit. If that's what the rebels had to go through just to fight and defend Velt, imagine what they're going to have to mobilize to stand against the mother, you know, what's coming for them. So the stakes are higher. Of course, we see the villagers mourn and burn all the banners, but we know that Issa is still alive. The princess is in another castle. It did kind of feel, I mean, I got my friends when we first saw it, they were like, oh, the princess in another castle. And I was like, Super Nintendo fan. So I loved seeing that. There's way more to explore within this universe. And I think Debbie Snyder, his entire team, his cast and crew, everyone who made this film possible, including Netflix, outdid themselves. This is an epic movie that is a culmination of all of Zack Snyder's works. And I, as a fan, feel privileged enough to have been able to see it with fans at an event that treated us like we are kings. Netflix is where it's at, y'all. If you're campaigning for a studio who's slapped you and spit in your face over and over again, good luck. I'm feeling treated very well, being able to watch JC431 right there on my Netflix screen right now at home. And I'm really thankful to Netflix for having the balls to let Zack cook, tell us some very important themes that may seem like old hat, but are still relevant today that we need to keep in mind, this being an election year. And I did want to talk about the importance of supporting the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I am going to put, it's in the description of this video, but the campaign for Sell ZSJ to Netflix, Sell Snyderverse to Netflix, is currently running a t-shirt campaign. And you can find it here, inktothepeople.com/sells-ZSJL. It's in the description of this video. That's what we're here for, right? The whole reason we are here and Zack is still able to make powerful art is because we #release the Snyder Cut, but we also donated to AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and we saved lives in the real world. That's what it's all about, right? Keep that in mind. This is an election year. There are 2 candidates. Make sure you are looking up what those candidates support. Don't want to get too political on here, but it's very important because there's a website called kkf.org. That's the Kosminski Foundation. And you can compare the stances of both candidates and see what type of mental health services are being endorsed by those candidates, okay? this is a global epidemic, right? We are here in America, so we can only do so much. No matter your stance, no matter your political party, I think we can all agree that AFSP is the most important thing when it comes to this community. So you might hold dear other stances and other political agendas, but I'm here to talk about, as somebody who works in the mental health field, AFSP, it's still happening. I mean, it's still important. Suicide is still happening. Recently, my family suffered a loss. It wasn't anyone directly connected to us, but there was somebody who had a loss to suicide. And make sure you know which candidate you're voting for, what stance they have, if they're planning to fund or defund those services. Okay? It's very important. Regardless, what you can do as of now is go to inktothepeople.com/sellzsjl, and you can become a hero, a rebel, somebody who helps push back against the oppression that comes with the darkness. We need, as Debbie said, I think it was actually before the event started. She talked about, actually, we had a little bit of an exchange, me and Debbie. If you don't know, I have been affected by suicide. My family has, and I was able to share that with Zach and Debbie at Full Circle. And we had a little bit of an exchange, me and Debbie, and I think what we talked about kind of prompted her to say some things. And I'm going to play this video as we wrap up, because I think it's very important that we know that, yes, we as an audience are affected by mental health, but these are people too working behind the camera, and we have to protect everybody. And let me just play this real quick for you. This is what Debbie had to say.
The last thing I'll say is that obviously you all know that AFSP is something that's very important to us. Raising awareness for mental health, especially now, you know, after the pandemic, our industry has had many strikes and, you know, people have been out of work. Like, we need mental health. We need to be talking about this. We need to be raising awareness. So this isn't something that's in the dark anymore. So all those beautiful photos, you're gonna get the book at the end, are all for auction benefiting AFSP. And there's no minimum, it's for charity, so please bid on them. They're beautiful, and like, spread the word. And you know, it's okay to talk about this topic. It shouldn't be in the dark anymore. So thank you for being here. And enjoy.
Yeah!
All right, thank you, Debbie. That's amazing. And I guess it's time to show the movie. So, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy Rebel Moon, Part 1. And also, we have. Oh no, we'll talk about it later. Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, man.
Sure, of course. Sure. Yeah, of course. Of course, you gotta. There's gonna be trouble and stuff. Yeah. When dark side comes, I have to. Yeah. Well, anyway. Chapter 1. Not yet.
So I love that Debbie had to say that, and got a little bit of snippet of Zach talking with Super Sky himself. Thanks for everyone for being here. This might not be popular, but just do your research. I talked about kff.org. This is a website you can go to compare the candidates' stance on healthcare policies. I urge you can go to everything: Affordable Health Care Act, Medicaid, abortion, contraception, LGBT health, gun violence, public health, prescription drugs, Medicare, healthcare. But what I'm focused on right now is mental health. Make sure you look at this section, go through it, and study what the stances of each candidate is. I urge you, as somebody who works in mental health, we got to be informed about what is at stake in November. So I'll put that in the chat here. You can do your own research. And if you're not in America, consider yourself lucky. There it is. It is kff.org/compare-2024-candidate-health-care-policy/mental-health. Very important. AFSP, we need it now more than ever. Sell is the way. This is the way. Send Havoc. Sell is the way. Thank you guys for joining me. I wanted to keep this to an hour and a half. We are now going 2 hours. So I will wrap up by saying, hashtag sell ZSJL to Netflix. Hashtag sell Snyderverse to Netflix. Rebels! Gotta rebel.